good afternoon. Thank you for coming to our press conference. This is an exciting time for both FieldComm and OPC Foundation. The cooperation that we've actually been doing together has been going on for quite a few years. And this is a continual evolution of our cooperation, but even at a more higher level, essentially to really bridge and really think about how we're going to take data from the sensors to the cloud. And that's about, exactly what we're trying to do. And we're going to take on a lot of different things with the collaboration that we're doing between our organizations. It's actually to do a lot of what I'll call harmonization of data standards and harmonization of data across a lot of different disparate devices. So the end users have spoken. They're tired of the frustration of interoperability. They're tired of the same devices having different data types and different names. And we're going to take that on, and we're going to make that problem go away through the effort we're going to start doing. So I'm going to start off. Ted Masters here is from FieldComm. What is your official title? The president of FieldComm?
Oh,
whatever it is. And I'm Tom Burke, and I'm the president and executive director of the OPC Foundation. We really thank ARC for we're platinum sponsors. And that's an exciting opportunity for us. We're doing a session. Thank you, Andy. We're doing a session on Wednesday, and we're also participating in a number of panels on Thursday morning as well. So, Ted, you want to take over next and start here?
Sure. You want to say a few words just about the collaboration
and
the
history?
I guess.
So this is our roadmap. I forgot which order the slides came in. So this is our cooperation of when we started. And initially when OPC and the FieldComm group really started together, it was all based on the FDI technology and what we're doing with EDDL. And specifically, we started that whole initiative really in the 2004 timeframe. And that was the basis of FDI. FDI was, Profibus Foundation, HART, FDT, and OPC. And we recognize this as a unique opportunity for standardization of, essentially device configuration across process automation. We want to take this to the next level. So over periods of time, we continue doing this. The FDI did become an IEC standard. That's 62679. The OPC way, we actually have a standard. It's 62541. And we've also built a specification that actually takes a lot of that information that we defined in process automation for FDI, and we've abstracted this into another IEC specification specifically for devices. So the intention of the effort we're doing now will really go for process automation and discrete, and now with the engagement that we're putting together essentially in 2016, and now really forming a working group here in 2018 to really take on the whole concept of harmonization of data for process automation and beyond. And you know what my spiel is all the time. I talk about data, but I talk about information integration. And the tight partnership that we have between our two organizations now really will realize the opportunity for us to have standardized data, leveraging all the analytics and making this useful information that we pump into the cloud. And that's the whole basis for our cooperation between us. So that's kind of our cooperation roadmap. Again, it's not something that we did new, but we're going to do it a lot better now from what we started in 2004.
Okay.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks a lot. So thanks. As Tom said, there's a history of cooperation. I'm relatively new in this business, only 5 years, so I think that's very new. So my experience with the cooperation is really around FDI, and FDI, as you know, standardizes things on a device-to-host level. What we're talking about now, as Tom has explained, is standardizing on data up at the cloud level. So we're really, you might say we're taking our collaboration to a higher level, but it's actually taking it to a lower, more detailed level or a drill-down level as well. So device information models are really needed for process-specific devices. One of the complaints we have of the industry is we're just not using the data that's there quite enough. So one of the solutions that a device information model will remedy would be making that information that's available and valuable in a device more accessible in a standard way up into the cloud. So basically we're taking real objects, I would call them things, and we're trying to represent them as a digital twin, and we're doing that with device information models that represent those devices. So OPC-UA and FDI do have a long history of cooperation, and we've aligned around the same generic device information model. Both technologies use the same information model. Now we need to drill down into that model and build a detailed model for process automation devices so that regardless of brand and protocol, this data can be used in the cloud in a standard way, accessible by all types of systems and analytics and applications and Internet of Things type value leveraged from them. So the first step is really of this working group is getting together to create a standard set of parameters for different process automation devices by device classes, and leveraging the specifications that are international standards that are already in place. Of course, OPC-UA's device information model provides a more generic placeholder and model for all types of devices, and we're trying to drill into these different specific process automation devices, include things like core parameters recommended by NMOR and other parameters that describe each type of field device. In addition to creating really a model that's independent of the different brand of the device, then the last step is to map the protocols. So this way we're getting the same data from different protocols in the same areas with essentially a protocol map, so that you can have machine-to-machine data delivered in context, regardless of device type, regardless of protocol, up into the cloud. So we want the organizations really to be able to focus more on the data and extract intelligence out of it, rather than worry about the protocol or the branded device or items like that. So this really should make it a lot easier, up in this cloud level. And the deliverable of the working group will be to build and organize this model. And as we announced, if you saw the press release, we have that first deliverable coming out in the spring of 2019, where we'll have these fields defined in the first set of the model. So I want to let Tom just kind of wrap up and summarize the big picture with how they fit together.
So obviously the overall architecture of OPC-UA has been designed specifically to take advantage of these collaboration opportunities and essentially develop what's known as our companion information models. And this is a big strategy forward when you start thinking about what we're trying to do with IIoT, why we've been partnered so closely to Industry 4.0, because you've got the ability to generically model data and be able to have this abstraction such that you can take generic applications to be able to operate and consume that information in an intelligent fashion. This is the reason that SAP and Microsoft are such strong proponents of the collaboration between our organizations and what we're trying to do to model this information. So what we've done is we've got a built-in information model, which actually results in a harmonization of all the different device types, independent of it being process or factory automation or building automation or security, or the list goes on. So our intention is to really provide a solid mechanism that allows for both, design, commissioning, runtime, and ultimately, continued operation of the systems, because we've got a standard device model. We then build on top of that the companion information specifications like FDI, like the opportunities in the oil and gas community of MDIS and the work that we're doing with open process automation, where they build on top of that standard model, and they're able to take advantage of that in the true object-oriented paradigm of being able to share, the data and the metadata, allowing this to be a really complete solution. Of course, there's always going to be additional extensions that are necessary. The architecture, what we provided, allows timeless durability that'll plug in as well. So the meta model and the underlying, communication protocols are pretty much all transparent to the suppliers and the end users. So in the IoT world, I was just talking to Arlen Nipper, we've embracing MQTT underneath this, so we don't care if it's DDS, AMQP, MQTT, HTTPS, and the list goes on. Because of the collaboration between our two organizations, we'll actually be able to take data across those different IoT protocols and pump it into the cloud. I don't care if it's Azure, I don't care if it's HANA, I don't care if it's Oracle. This is the standard mechanism that we're really coming together on. So we've got a really good mapping of the process automation devices, courtesy of the partnership between OPC and FieldComm. And we think this is the right direction. Pretty much it's been driven by organizations like NMR and Industry 4.0 that are saying, you know what, we want standardization. We're tired of this, different ways of doing things. So that's our whole goal, to give you standardization across all devices. Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, David.
I can take that and
You wanna take that
chime
shot
in
first?
if
Go
you
ahead,
want.
yeah.
But yeah, we have a venue already within FieldComm Group, a working group venue, of course, and we meet in different countries 3 times a year. And part of this integration working group, we have a working group focused on this, and we're already at the first level trying to decide what those parameters are per class of field device. So that work's already ongoing, and it'll continue through those working group venues. Like I said earlier, with the first deliverable being that information model of core parameters and parameters around each device class by the spring of 2019. But it'll continue in this working group model.
What benefits do you see for end users, for manufacturers' devices, and for system integrators?
Because now they'll be able to take different devices from different manufacturers and they'll be exactly the same. So the names of the attributes inside of these things, different configuration parameters, every one of them will have the same name. They'll have the same type of data that's being shared across these things. So for example, you could take, and I won't encourage this, but you could take Microsoft Excel and it'll actually be able to connect up to 2 different vendors' devices and it'll look the same. The benefits the end users are, from a training perspective and a commissioning perspective, is probably the biggest thing that they'll have.
I think the other comment I'd just like to make on that is one of the complaints, I guess, we hear time and time again from suppliers as well as users is they're not really leveraging that data. There's a lot of stranded data in those devices. So one of the drivers to that is the value of the data, right? So what this solution enables is it enables the data to get out there in a uniform way where analytics and all types of enterprise applications and systems can leverage that data and turn it into value. And I think that will really drive, the need for more data. So we've kind of got a stumbling block on proving the value of data in field devices, and I think this will really, really show how you can turn it into value.
Go ahead, Bill.
Are you liaisoning with NMR on Industry 4.0 for process to drive those definitions right down into the end device, sensor device?
Specifically for Industry 4.0, they're one of the driving forces for process. Yeah.
Working group for things too.
They actually do have a working group for process right now, and they will be driving basically standardization of the data types as well. My colleagues walked in the room. Eric, do you want to say something? Eric's from Microsoft. Eric's our strongest evangelist on, commitment behind OPCUA and our partnerships with other organizations.
Next time, sorry we're all late. We couldn't find the room.
They were eating.
But yeah, especially with the platform we're also working on, bringing some of the standards like OPCUA into the records architecture, and not just for discrete, but also for process. So yeah, we're working on that on a daily basis. It's a long, obviously, standardization takes time, so you've got to be patient, but progress has been made.
Could you describe a little more detail about how this
So specifically, he's talking about open process. Oh, sorry. Okay. OPA is the Open Process Automation Initiative that obviously is being driven by, you know, the oil companies, essentially to develop what I call an open DCS system. One of the things that's coming out of this is the value proposition of information modeling, and specifically with OPC they're looking for standardization. And this is one of the driving things, very similar to, I imagine, what's happened with MDIS, where the oil companies and the subsea vendors and the DCS vendors all said, you know what, we want a standardized set of things, and we want everyone to agree on what those things are, independent of the protocol and independent of the vendor. So I expect that the same thing will occur with the Open Process Automation Initiative. Jim Luth is he's actively involved in the Open Process Automation. Jim, you want to add to that about what OPA is doing?
Yeah, sure. The OPA is trying to, put together sort of a high-level reference architecture for what would be a next-generation DCS design. Vendors can, all vendors can participate in, but they could have way more interoperability and interchangeability than they do today. And so they've focused on a lot of different areas, one of which is communication, and OPC UA right now is what they're moving forward with preliminary designs and so forth, with the assumption that it's all OPC UA and OPC UA information models.
Again, I guess the question is how do they work together? How does this fit in with?
Well, clearly there's,
Can you repeat the question, please, Tom?
okay, the question is, how does OPA work with what we're doing with this FieldComm OPC partnership?
Well, with your announcement right now, how is that going to fit into OPA?
Okay. Well, clearly, if you take a look at the large installed base that OPA will have to address, for example, you know, across all the different, you know, opportunities in oil and gas, right? There's a lot of legacy systems out there that, you know, essentially have to tie into this architecture. So they're all looking for how do we get data from a lot of those legacy systems out there. So we're going to be working aggressively on that to actually help do a lot of that mapping of data, so you can take the existing legacy systems as well as the new systems of tomorrow and be able to, you know, essentially exasperate that information and ultimately be able to get it into Azure. Is the kind of direction we're going. So there's a big opportunity. There's a lot of legacy systems out there, and that's why it's so important, you know, with what we're trying to do here to really take this to the next level. And that's why the partnership between our two organizations to standardize on data and standardize on the devices, you know, is so important. Time's up. I'm giving the signal there. Thank you very much. For more information, please feel free to go to the FieldComm website or the OPC Foundation website, and our press release and things are available. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.